So this is my dad, otherwise known as Dad-Owner, according to the community. And today we're going to be going through his favourite Switch games. Unlike me, my dad doesn't keep a going record of everything he plays. So we're going to be going through his account on the Switch and going through each of the games that he's had the most amount of hours in and talking about them that way. So your most recently played game is The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Yes, enjoyable game. There's some difficult boss levels in that, but
oh yeah, you're stuck in it at the moment, aren't you, on Ganon?
Yes, but it's an entertaining game, a good game I can just easily pick up.
So you haven't played Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, really, have you? So this whole mechanic of being able to move items is completely new to you.
Yes.
Because you can move the items around, you can place items and call upon items.
Yes.
To solve puzzles. How do you find that then?
Using the items gives some interesting challenges sometimes of finding the correct items. But I have to admit there are occasions when I do have to go and look up to find out because I've given up using. There are so many items that you've accumulated that it can be time consuming trying to work.
Yeah, I complained a lot. Like, my biggest annoyance with that game was the fact that they gave you the menu that you scrolled across to find each item, and I thought that was probably not the best way to do it. I found that 90% of my solutions were solved by the bed.
Bed and a trampoline. Yes. Very useful items. Yes.
For the record, you have 25 hours in Echoes of Wisdom. But I don't know how reliable that is on how much you leave your Switch open on the side. Which brings us on to Link's Awakening, because they're very similar, which you have 25 hours in. I know you like Link's Awakening, I think, more than I like Link's Awakening.
I enjoy that type of game where you're discovering elements in a world, finding things, have challenges.
These both have the old school dungeons. You didn't play Breath of the Wild or stuff, but they was very different. But my biggest annoyance with this one was this is the main game I had to look up walkthroughs for. I have never been as stuck as I have. Like, this to me was the least intuitive Zelda I played. But you got you had a lot better of a time with this and played this a lot more than I did.
Yes, but I probably used walkthroughs as well on this one. But to me, the a last resort if I get stuck.
That's why I like easy modes as well. Because if you paid money for it, you should be able to play the whole game
without being killed. And then, yes.
Or or stop because you physically can't get any further.
Yes, agreed. Yes.
Next up, we have Paper Mario: A Thousand Year Door, but you're only 5 hours in, so I assume you haven't got very far. You like games with turn-based battles, though, don't you? Oh no, actually, you're new to them.
Yeah, I'm okay with them, and that element of the game is interesting. Again, where I'm getting stuck is to get into various elements of the map. You've got to complete tasks.
I guess the other thing we didn't mention earlier is you play mostly when you're downstairs watching TV. So most of the games you play, you don't do voice acting or anything like that. You prefer to read.
I'm relying on.
Which is the opposite of me. I love voice acting in games, and I'm always sad when they don't have them. We also have No Man's Sky for 5 hours, but I know that you are stuck in a need of assistance on that one.
Yes, managed to get off the planet. I'm now stuck in a spaceship. And yes,
we need to play it together so I can teach you.
I'm going to need more assistance. It looks like it's a type of game that, in theory, I would enjoy working the kind of terraform planets.
Yeah. Once you figure it out, you can do anything.
But there is just it gives you a task and it gives you very little information about how to achieve that task.
Yep. The story's hard, yeah. And there's so many menus at the start.
Yes.
So many. I also need to set it up so you have the mode where you can't die.
Right.
And you don't need to go mining for resources, because if you know where to look in the menu system, you can change the game to be, at the moment it's like, if you keep it default, it's like survival based as well as exploration, but if you change some of the settings, you can make it purely exploration. So that's why I like it, because you can tailor your experience.
Right.
I'm going to enjoy the next one. I'm going to enjoy the next one a lot. It's the Suka game, the watermelon game. You have 35 hours.
That's one of those easy go-to games. You're getting a bit bored and you just want something that just a bit of light entertainment. And it's always one of those games, you always pick it up and think, I'll just play one or two. And then you get frustrated that you didn't get as far as you thought you would, so that one more go. One more, I'm going to do better. The next one, I'm going to beat my personal best on the next one.
So I was living at home at this point. I had bought it and I showed it to Mum and Dad, who both told me to get it on their Switch. So not only was I playing it non-stop, there was all three of us downstairs trying to beat each other's high score. I think Mum has closer to 50 hours in it. She was worse than both of us. So you do have 5 hours in Mario Wonder.
Yeah, it's a very different style of play. I will admit I've not got fully into that game. And again, that's one way you've got to kind of unlock different elements to get certain powers, because you can gain the power and then you can lose it, easily lose it. And I think that's the trouble I've had, is that I've no problem in gaining the powers, it's keeping hold of them.
I think the nice thing I like about this is when I come home, it's a good one to play as two people. So it's one of those games where if you find it hard as one person for a level, you bring in another person, and then if one of you dies and the other one stays alive, then it carries on as normal.
Yeah, no, it's a game I could get back into.
You like platformers?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, next up, Mario 3D All-Stars, which you said earlier when we were talking about this. You've got 45 hours in it, but you've only really played one of the games the most, right? This has Super Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. And you said most of your time has been Mario Galaxy.
Yes, yeah, because Mario Galaxy was a game I thoroughly enjoyed on the old Wii. It's the graphics, and I just find it a very entertaining game.
There was Super Mario Galaxy 2 as well, right? They haven't, you've got to wait for them to release that as a remake.
Yes.
Do you play much of the other two?
I did. I didn't find them quite as entertaining.
You already knew that was your favourite game, though.
Yes, I'm afraid.
You went in biased. I haven't played any of them, I'm going to be real. I'm not a big Mario gal. I just remember watching you play Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii with the pointing. Because you had to point to collect the stars, didn't you, on the Wii?
You did, yes.
You also have 15 hours on Super Mario RPG.
It was a good game. Sometimes I find that having too many battles, for me, seems to kind of interrupt the flow of the game.
Yeah.
You want to be able to explore, but you just keep having to then meet these foes. You constantly feel as if you're doing these battles rather than...
Yeah, because you don't do many turn-based battles. Got to level up, got to grind to get a high enough level to do the boss battle, to move on to the next place, or the next part of the story.
Yes.
So you also have 20 hours in Mario Odyssey. You're the opposite of me. I don't do many Marios. You do every Mario.
Yeah, just Mario ticks a lot of boxes for me in terms of entertaining, something that I enjoy playing. It takes you into bizarre places and bizarre things happen.
Or in this case, into bizarre things,
well,
when you can go into all the items.
The graphics are brilliant.
Yeah.
And it just for me is a lovely escapism into this very alternative world that Mario exists in.
Super easy for you to drop in and out of. Another similar game that you have 30 hours in is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now for me, I preferred this to Mario Odyssey. Mainly because, I don't know, just sucking up random objects was peak gaming for me. Again,
some problem solving within it and trying to work out which power to use, and sometimes little competitions where you were racing. But those were quite fun.
Yeah.
It's something you could then go and try and improve on and try and
that's why I think that game was so good, because the levels weren't necessarily hard, like the main levels, but there were loads of elements that could make it harder. Like you could get different scores on the time trial levels, and if you wanted to 100% the game, then it would be actually quite difficult to get the top score on all those levels. But if you're more casual, you can just play the base game. You've got supposedly 15 hours in Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
Right.
This was not my sort of game.
No, I didn't enjoy this one quite as much as the other Kirby game. Some elements in this where it was a bit more challenging to get through certain levels. So.
This is a much more traditional platformer. Okay, we've made it to Dad's top 3 most played and favourite Nintendo Switch games, which, if you see me talk about my Switch collection, you'll probably have guessed these so far. So, first up, we will do, with over 40 hours played, is Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
As you will well know, I've been a long-standing fan of Pikmin.
You got me into it. I bought it because I was like, worst case scenario, I'll buy Pikmin 4. If I don't like it, I'll just give it to Dad so it won't be money wasted. And then I was like, hold on a second. This is actually fun.
Yes. I think they've managed to keep it entertaining. It took me a while to complete Pikmin 3.
Yeah, you came into my room and you were like, Eeowna, please, I'm on a boss battle. I need you to help me. I was no help.
Yeah, I did eventually manage to get through that, which was the last boss.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was until I completed it, but yeah, that was the last one. Pikmin is just a very satisfying, again has the kind of puzzle elements within it. There's very much a strategy element to being able, how you use your Pikmin, split your teams up.
And you don't find it that stressful, do you?
They can, no, occasionally there can be, because you're running up against the clock.
Yeah.
Sometimes, or
when the day ends.
When the day ends. I think the latest one lets you also turn the clock back. So if you do get to sunset and you realise you can't get all your Pikmin back, you can go back in time, so to speak, to then make sure that you do.
To be fair, a large portion of your 30 hours in Pikmin 3 Deluxe was the same level. That
Probably.
last level.
It probably was.
Would you say if you played the Switch a lot and someone hasn't tried Pikmin because they're worried it's too stressful or too hard, would you recommend Pikmin?
Yeah, because you can. I think you can play relatively safe.
Yeah.
Within it, so yes, because of the limit of the time of the. You've got to be back at your spaceship by sunset with all your Pikmin. That is the stress element.
Yeah.
But if you keep an eye on the clock and how much time you've got left, perhaps it's good in that in some ways you can manage your. An element of time management.
Life skills.
Make sure you bring all your Pikmin back before the end of the day.
And in Pikmin 4, you get the dog to carry them all as well.
Yes. Yeah, again, they've evolved it and it's added more interesting gameplay. A story, but with little challenges along the way.
And again, super easy to put down and pick up.
Yes.
Your final most played game, probably one of the cheapest games on this list, other than Watermelon Game, is Rayman Legends Definitive Edition. So you have, for reference, 45 hours on the Switch. However, we also owned a Wii U, which I hate to know how many hours we spent playing it on the Wii U, on top of your 45 hours on the Switch version. I didn't think I was much of a platformer person until I played Rayman. And Rayman gives you every platforming mode ever, all in one. Because you have the music levels, which were my favourite, when you platformed in time to the music. The more puzzle-like levels where you could use the touch screen to move the puzzle guy. And Rayman would automatically run if you were playing it by yourself. And then you had the levels where you played multiplayer as well.
Thoroughly enjoyable.
I also love the fact that there was a slap button. When you play multiplayer, there's like a button that would just slap the other player. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, there was a good sense of humour I felt in that game. It had been built in.
I don't think I ever felt frustrated. It had like a good, although admittedly we avoided most of the difficult levels. So I was about to say that I didn't find any frustratingly hard, but I never got past like the third difficulty level before I was like, that's enough for me.
I think that's one game where there are still plenty of levels left. If
and you got 45 hours in it and you have not finished it.
No, definitely one of my favourites. Yes, I could go back to play that one.
That's it. That's all your most played Nintendo Switch games.
Oh, right. Do we run through my top three?
Yeah, because we did Pikmin together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there was the two Pikmins.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Those are your favourite Nintendo Switch games. Are you going to be getting the Switch too?
Well, I'm. If it's going to be better graphics, better processor, it's going to be on my Christmas and birthday list.
Okay.